Every nuclear reactor in America runs on a fuel the United States mostly can't make itself. About a quarter of the enriched uranium in those reactors comes from a single country, Russia. And in January 2028, a law makes buying it illegal. Here's the problem nobody's solved, and why the whole nuclear comeback runs through it. Nuclear power keeps the lights on for about 1 in 5 Americans. It's the quiet backbone everyone now wants to build on for AI. But enrichment, turning raw uranium into reactor fuel, is controlled by just 4 players. And the largest by far is Russia's Rosatom, with close to half the world's capacity. The US imports almost all of its uranium to begin with, and for the enriched fuel specifically, roughly a quarter comes straight from Russia. That dependence has a price tag. Russia earns around $1 billion a year selling that fuel to American utilities, money that flows back to the same war machine the West is trying to sanction. This is the kind of thread the headlines skip, the supply chain underneath the story. That's what I track here every week. Stick around, because the deadline is where it gets serious. In 2024, Congress passed the ban. Waivers keep the fuel flowing for now, but on January 1st, 2028, the door shuts. The market already sees it coming. The price of enrichment has roughly tripled since 2022, and that cost ends up in your electricity bill. So just make it at home, right? Here's the wall. America can enrich only about a quarter of what its reactors need. Today, exactly 1 US company enriches uranium at commercial scale. Even with everything now under construction, domestic supply covers maybe a third of demand by 2028. New capacity doesn't even come online until 2029, a year after the ban. So decoupling really means switching from Russia to allies like Britain's Urenco and France's Orano. Not independence, just a different supplier. And there's a second choke point hiding inside the first, the one that quietly decides whether the small reactor boom is real. If you want the threads under the headlines, subscribing helps. Here it is. Those small modular reactors everyone's betting on? Most need a special high-assay fuel called HALEU, and almost nobody makes it. TerraPower's flagship reactor already slipped 2 years waiting on it. The US just celebrated importing 1.5 tons of it from Japan as a record shipment. 1 shipment. And here's the part that should worry the planners. Washington is funding factories, billions of dollars in grants. But it still won't do the one thing that builds a real market, actually commit to buy the fuel. Without a guaranteed buyer, no company gambles billions on capacity that might sit idle. Markets don't form around announcements. They form around contracts. So here's my call. The US misses the 2028 deadline cleanly. Domestic enrichment fills only about a third of the gap, so the ban doesn't end the dependence, it just reroutes it to allies. And Russia keeps earning by selling the fuel everyone else still buys. Enrichment prices stay high, and they keep leaking into power bills. And HALEU stays the real bottleneck, the quiet constraint that slips the entire advanced nuclear timeline to the right. But watch the 2 things that flip this. First, the buyer. If Washington stops just funding factories and actually commits to purchasing fuel, a strategic reserve, long-term contracts, the market gets a bankable signal and capacity scales fast. The defense production powers are already on the table. Second, demand. If the AI build-out cools, and there are already signs of data center projects slipping, the fuel gap shrinks on its own, and the cliff gets a lot less steep. For a decade, we treated nuclear fuel as a solved, boring detail. It isn't. The reactors are the easy part. Whoever controls the fuel controls the timeline. And right now, that isn't us. Last episode, Big Tech scrambled to build its own power. This time, the fuel underneath the nuclear bed. Next, the metal choke points, the transformers and rare earths the whole grid quietly depends on. I'm Atlas. This is the chokehold. I'll see you at the next pressure point.